Hi YouTube, part 6, Cessna 182 UMX, flap installation. Yes, that's part 6. I know it's disgusting, I can't hardly believe it myself. If you guys are still watching, you must really want to do this to yourself. I don't blame you. This has been something I've been wanting to get done. And really, you know what this is, guys? This is really just preparation for the Aero Commander. The reason I did this is because the complexity of the flaps in the Aero Commander is significantly higher. And so I said I better start with something that's a little bit more sure thing, you know. Okay. So that makes me kind of wish it would go a little bit more there. See how it gets to a locking position? Where is it? Why is it buzzing? I'm trying to figure out like what part of it is causing it to buzz. Because we weren't buzzing earlier. Guess we'll see. See, once it gets to the home position, then there shouldn't be any force on the servo. Yeah, it's allowed to slip right now. It's slipping a little bit there. Can't believe I'm going to try this, but I'm going to try to get a little bit more glue up in there. This could cause a little bit of a problem, but since I'm pushing it up, I think we'll be okay. So basically what I did is I just forced some glue in there. We'll use some kicker. The kicker will act as the lubricant. Ow! Man, that was a series of strange things. And I'm going to move this while the kicker and the CA are setting up so that it doesn't set up against the metal and it's allowed to slip. Sweet. The alignment is just very slightly off on this right now, which is irritating as all get out. It's so close, but not exactly perfect. It's almost like when I was designing the positioning that I had it's almost like I had it on the other side, but I don't think I did. Even if I did, I wouldn't want to keep it that way. Although, look at how steep that is now. If I could get that over just a little bit, I think I'd have better results. Because the alignment would be much more square. I think I'm going to work on that now. Guys, I find myself on this part 6 of the video, part 5 and part 6, having expected to be done. I'm a little bit bummed. But at the same time, these are things that are going to be a pain in the butt to fix later, so it's always probably better to fix it now. if you can. And there are some things that just can't really easily be fixed. But now what I need to do is I need to make myself a mark so that I can follow. So that's my reference. And I hate to mark in there because I know it's going to be seen to one degree or another, you know. I'm just going to peel it off and just redo it real quick because it's not going to hurt anything. Except for the wires that I just pulled out of the wing. Other than that, it's not going to hurt anything. Okay, I can use that as my size comparison. And when I'm done, I can do a little bit of CA. Okay. It's about the right size. Just throw this right on there. And really push it in to the scrapes that I made. Okay, pull the double-sided tape backing off. Stick that on there. Okay. Now I can really kind of stick it to it. And then I'm going to push it just a little bit closer to where the flaps are. Okay. So hopefully everything still lines up. Let's give it a test run. I gotta hold it up. Oh, that looks better. Yeah, see, it's projecting them up higher now, which is what I was hoping would happen. Which means that when they lock, they're actually going up slightly. That's exactly what I wanted to happen. Now I can go into this maximum setting. Jeez. And get it back to like 75 and 75. Okay. So now I can see what this looks like. Okay, so take off, landing, perfect. And I still got a little bit of room to adjust that as needed later. Okay, so now that we have that where I think it's going to need to be, I'm cautiously optimistic that it should be good. And I am going to go ahead and do a little bit of gluing here. Now, I don't want that black mark because that black mark will be seen. And so the easiest way I know to get that off would be probably with kicker, because then the kicker will help set up the CA. I'm going to do one good run of CA right here on this spot, and that kicker seems to break down this markers and stuff. Ah, it's not doing it today. That's weird. I thought it would. I guess I'll use alcohol. You guys would know I'd be lying if I said that I usually don't get so picky about these projects, but man, this one's been especially bad. I wish I could say I didn't, but I do. They turn out good though. The problem with a plane is, you know, you have one screw up and next thing you know you crash and all this effort's down the tubes in like 5 seconds, which is not very cool, but such is life in RC airplanes. Okay. I'm really getting a lot of alcohol in there, which I don't think is going to be an issue, but I do need to dry it off now. So I'm going to take one of these cotton swabs and pull the cotton to really get that some surface area. And then I'm just going to glue some so that over time it doesn't twist its position. Okay. So now I'm going to just test and see if it's dry. It is. Okay, that's a pretty big bead of CA, guys. Now that bead of CA I'm hoping will really help to keep that thing in position. But also, yeah, look how thick it is, guys. It's pretty big amount of CA there. Now I'm going to go one more down this side. But it's going to want to run, so I'll have to be careful. Not to get too crazy. I don't want to screw up and get into those wires if it can be avoided. Okay. And then on the other side, we'll do the same thing again. So we're not just depending on a piece of double-sided tape. The double-sided tape will give us the flexibility if something would slip free or break. So I pulled the tape off the other side. So I guess at this point I should probably go ahead and pull the tape off of this side too, because it's just not, I don't know if it's doing anything. I don't think it's really needed. It's just wasted weight. Except that if I didn't CA over the top of that, maybe, gosh, I don't know. I'll just leave it, I guess. I could cut it so that at least it's not underneath the glue joint. See, that's the problem with a plane that you got to disassemble with a glue joint. Is you get to thinking, well, what do I need to do? Because, oh, you see that? That's not good. You know what's happening? I'm yanking on that connector now. As I do what I'm doing, I'm yanking on that connector. That's not good. You see that? Oh crap, I wonder if I'm just running my battery low. I bet my battery's just low. Let us go check that. I'm going to pause the video, I'll be right back. Alright guys, good news, my battery was just dead. Sorry I missed that, guys. It was at like 5 point something volts, it was way low. But of course I'm not running, I don't have any low voltage warning. And okay, so everything is basically, at this point, ready to be put away. I'm done with it. So, this thing is solid. It's not going to move unless it's crashed. And if it's crashed, it's kind of like I tell people, all bets are off at that point. You know, if you have a rough landing, it's a little different situation. So now, we do not want to glue a CA, the lid on here. We need the mucilage to glue that in, but the first step I got to do before I can do that is to go ahead and figure out where we're going to put this. The other thing is we have exposed connections, and so one thought I had was to go ahead and cover this with some sort of product. Now I don't know what's the best choice, but I know that we do have some fairly light material that's provided with it. Let's see how much this little wrapper weighs. Oh, 0.3, that's a lot. That's 0.25, that's actually lighter. The double-sided tape. And see, that would cover up like most of it. I kind of would like to save that light so you can see the light. So maybe I'll take and, I don't know which side's the better, more sticky side. But I think I'll just go ahead and pop out a little spot so that light's still seen, which is kind of cool. I'm a little nervous it might look stupid having that much red light inside the cabin, but we'll find out. I've done stupider things. Okay, so even if, well, you know what, even if I decide I'm not going to use this as the mounting product, it will give you some protection from short circuit by doing this. So like I said, it's not It's not going to hurt anything. It's fairly light. Reasonable amount of heat dissipation can still get around that. Shouldn't get super hot, I don't think. So what I need to do now is just really commit to a spot and get on with it. Which I suck at this part. The committing to a spot is like gotta be the worst part for me. Because you never know what you're gonna run into tomorrow. And I don't mean crash, I mean you just don't know what you're gonna need to respond to. I could also put this up above, up on the top, except I don't think I'll reach with my one wire. So keeping in mind I can redo this, I can take out this connector and just do connectors like I did on there. But I don't see that buying that much room or that much weight savings. I really don't. Well, there's a little bit of weight savings. It might be a gram, or excuse me, not a gram, a half a gram. Okay, so make sure we're still plugged in, which we are. Okay, so let's let this wire, see, we got one channel that we need to watch out for, one area, and that's where this linkage goes to the steerable nose gear. We need to be real mindful of that. And we did a good job on the lighting of keeping that in a situation that was manageable. And I'm wondering if I need to throw another little piece of tape around that. It's getting to that time of day where I'm starting to think about maybe cutting corners because I'm getting tired. And I don't want to do that. But I want this thing done. Because the sooner I get this done, the sooner I can fly it, if the weather permits, which is the worst part of this hobby, is waiting for weather to behave when it's crappy out. And it was fairly crappy the last few days. And it's probably going to be the majority of days anymore because we're getting into winter. UMX planes are especially picky about weather. Flight Test did their review on this plane and they were flying in like 14 mile an hour winds. And I'm like, it must have been the most straight line wind I've ever seen, because if I was flying this thing in 14 mile an hour wind, it'd be not very fun to fly. Let's just put it that way. Could it sustain flight? Sure. Would it be fun? No, I don't think so. Okay, so now the other thing is I've got these wires here, and if things would get shifted, that would suck. I gotta think for a second. I don't like the idea of covering all this stuff up, but at the same time, I think it might be worth doing a strip of tape around it, which sounds ridiculous, but I know it's possible to protect, so I'm gonna do that if I can. Well, the other thing too is I've got this crap. I guess I gotta decide where it's gonna go first. Because if this ends up sticking to something, then I need to use the sticky stuff, which honestly I'd like to put it up in the nose there. I'm a little bit nervous about the CG. I'm going to have a heck of a time adjusting the CG now, because I've got this servo that's relatively heavy pretty much right in front of the CG. It almost needs to be up here on the wing with the servo, right behind the servo, which would be potentially a good fit. Let's see how that goes, if I can get it to even sit up there. Got the diversity antenna there. Just one of the reasons why the Lemon RX receivers are so good. Granted, the diversity antennas are one of the weaker parts of the, meaning that having a diversity antenna is good, but their exact setup is maybe not so hot. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make the angle, because even if I get this thing stuck on there with the double-sided tape, I don't think I'm gonna make the angle. Let's try getting it away from the bench for a second. It'd be kind of cool having that red light glow from the top down, like it was a navigation light for the pilots to use to read their maps. I mean, of course I could just plop this thing in there, but I don't really think that's a good option either. Because just plopping it in there is just asking for disaster. And it'll happen when you're least expecting it. Guys, I knew this would be a sucky step. So I shouldn't be surprised. I knew this is going to be a pain in the butt. Well, let's just try going up by the nose. Maybe I can get up there to the extent that it's up by that. It looks like the instrument's glowing red. That's pretty cool. I don't have the backing off yet. I don't even know that I would have to have the backing off. It's definitely rubbing on there, so you're going to have some wear and tear over time, which makes me nervous. Is all get out. I wonder if I could stuff some foam around it. Well, maybe I could just pull this double-sided tape off and stick it underneath. Okay, I'm going to keep this backing in case this doesn't reach. Then I'll be able to get to the bind plug if I need to. Do I need to go under that thing first? Under my bundle of wire? I don't know. It's so hard to tell. When I plug this back in, I'm going to make sure it's working, which that should be pretty evident at the way it hopped. Okay, it is definitely working. The diversity antenna, I don't really care what shape it's in. If we lose connection with this thing while we're flying, we're going to lose our servo for flaps. It's not the end of the world. I mean, it would be better not to, of course. It's not hitting now. Okay, so now I have to unplug the power because I have to stick forceps in there, which are metal. And I have to try to push that thing up into the lid of the hood. So I'm just taking these forceps and just forcing it up into the roof. And it seems like it's holding perfectly. Holy crap, guys. If that's all it took, that's really good. Okay, throw that backing away. Come back to that in a minute. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get a little better pressure on there with my finger. It's almost like there's only a small piece of foam that it's stuck to right now, which makes me nervous. I mean, it's not that big a deal, really. It should be fine, but I really would like it to be more secure. I just don't feel like it's stuck to anything in there. And I'm not sure the construction of the nose right there, if it's hollow or what. Can't go that way. Okay, well, it's in there. Now I just need to figure out if I'm going to do anything for coloring the servo, since it's blue and it's very obvious that it's there. Let's just rough fit this in here and see if it's going to stay in a satisfactory spot. Oh yeah, all the mechanism is good. Actually, surprisingly, that doesn't look bad at all. If I could just get that thing to look like it was white, I think it would make a big improvement. Let's make sure we're going to get a good operation here before we get any further. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, I love the red glow in there. That's so cool. It's not unlike the regular receiver, but it's just a little bit more extensive. Oh, looks so good. Now, I had this problem before, guys, and I'd forgotten about it because I don't fly this thing too terribly often. But like, it doesn't always start up and bind right away. I don't think that's got nothing to do with the two receivers. It's going to work this time. But this thing's always been finicky, and I don't know if you guys have that same problem, but I have. Oh, that is so gorgeous. The way it should have been from the start, guys. Look at that. That's so awesome. Everything's working. Okay, so in that event, it is time. I'm gonna color that thing white. I gotta clean this adhesive off the windows, and then we'll give you guys a final look at this. So let's get that done real quick and then get some glue going. What are we gonna use for white, guys? Let's figure this out. Let me think about it. Model Masters, flat white, FS 37875. Here's the UPC. There's the code. And just gave it a little mix. We're going to try this, and it should take care of what we need, which is just to color up predominantly the front face of this servo. This doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs the hint of coverage. I don't want to get anywhere near the mechanism. I'd rather it be blue on that side than have a problem because of getting white paint in it. Should really piss me off. Okay, now this is super awkward. I'm trying to get it so that I can get paint to the backside. Okay, so we'll just paint it like this. I touched the window. Let me just flip this around. Excuse me, French folks. Okay, here we go, guys. Right there. There it is. Whew, that was close. Okay, so that's good enough. Doesn't need to be perfect at all. Just that little bit of white helps a lot. So let's double check from the other angles real quick. Oh yeah, that'll work. It'll definitely work. Okay, so I'm going to pause and get the glue ready. Okay, so we're going to use this foam tack stuff, and then we're going to use tape like we did before. So we'll just work this on there fairly quick. Shouldn't really need a lot. This stuff is real thick. In fact, it's real thick. I'm going to pause it and get it going. Okay, so just doing a little bit here. I want to try to be careful because you don't want to get that all over the glass, because it'll look messy if you do. Just a little bit here. Now remember, this isn't CA, guys. It's a little different formula, obviously. If you're used to working with model airplanes, use a lot of different types of glue. CA is my favorite for like most of what we do. because it's light. I would CA this, except I know the chances of needing back in here are pretty significant. So we'll grab a Q-tip and we'll spread that out and we'll lay it down. Okay, so we got that spread over. If my memory runs out, guys, the next video is probably going to be the flight video because we're so dang close. Just going to double check and make sure we don't have any binding. I'm going to pause it since pushing that down is not very exciting. We'll get some tape on, show the final. Okay, so we're 132 grams compared to 119. That's a pretty awesome amount of growth. We had the struts off both times, by the way. There you have it, guys. Takeoff flaps, ailerons, elevator, rudder. We gained about 12 and some change grams total, which is phenomenal for a plane of this size to gain that much. And we had to add a receiver, guys. Just amazing. Real happy with that. Didn't lose safe, didn't lose anything. No AS3X had to give up. What a beaut, guys. That is going to be so cool.